On February 9th of 2004, 21-year-old UMass student Maura Murray drove from her dorm in Amherst, Massachusetts to the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
At approximately 7:27 p.m., Maura spun out her 1996 Saturn on a hairpin turn on Route 112 in North Haverhill. There has never been a credible sighting of Maura since.
Maura is 5 foot 7 inches tall. She weighs 120 pounds, and she has brown hair and hazel eyes.
If you have any information regarding Maura's disappearance, please submit it to us,
The Murray family at MauraMurrayFamilyDirect@gmail.com.
or the New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit.
This is Missing Maura Murray. Welcome back to Missing Maura Murray. I'm Tim, here today with Lance. Lance, how are you today?
I couldn't be better. I'm doing just a little bit better than I was when we did the intro to Crawl Space a few minutes ago.
That is good to hear. And Lance, in this episode, we speak to our buddy, Robert Lynch. He has a Facebook group called Strength in Numbers. We've had him on the show here. We actually met him in person in the Wormtown studios back before the pandemic. So we've met him personally, and we've had him on our live Get Vocal shows as well.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Really, we have him on so that people can see his positive energy, his motivation, his determination. He looks into this case on his own time, at his own expense. After work, he goes down to his basement where we interviewed him, where it's sort of like a little cave down there, and he looks into this case. But again, the reason why we have him on is because he really exudes this energy and this positive motion, this positivity that should be more prevalent in the community, and that's what we're trying to perpetuate here.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to join Robert's Facebook group. Thanks a lot. Welcome back to the podcast, Robert Lynch. How are you today, Rob?
Doing fantastic, guys. How you guys doing?
Couldn't be better. Could not be better. It's always a delight to have you on. Anytime I start to feel a little bit down about everything, it's like let's get Bobby Lynch on, because he's gonna pump us back up. He's gonna just inject that infusion of energy into what could be a very anxiety-ridden time right now. And looks like you're broadcasting from your superhero basement.
Oh yeah, no, this is the war room, I call it. It's my office. It's where I do all my videos for my group, my research, all of that. I got some memorabilia, football stuff, and different stuff down here. It's just a weirdo man cave, I guess.
Is that a Miracle picture? Like Miracle, the hockey team?
No, that's the Julian Edelman catch in the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which was a miracle all in itself, for sure.
Yep. But you always talking about Miracle, and all right, it's right there. It's just football instead of hockey.
Right. For anyone who doesn't know the reference, I always imagine Robert Lynch as the coach of the United States hockey team. What was his name? I always forget his name.
Herb Brooks.
Yes, and it was portrayed by Kurt Russell brilliantly in the movie Miracle. And it's not a joke. I know people think I'm joking. I always picture Robert Lynch as Herb Brooks, just rallying.
I think I have better pants than he did in that movie, but I'll take the compliment anyway. Thank you.
Well, tell us about your Facebook group, Strength in Numbers. First of all, how can people find it, and how is it going?
Anyone can find it on Facebook. If you look up Maura Murray, or just look up Strength in Numbers. You'll come across it. It's going well. I got about 450 members. Keeps me busy. A lot of the people on there are just really good-hearted, good-natured people, want to try to make a difference. Don't have a lot of arguing or people cursing at each other or anything in there. It's pretty respectful and some good conversations and posts by everybody. So it's going really well. It's what I wanted to have it be, and I got no complaints.
Okay, and so it's going really well. It's what you wanted it to be. Can you elaborate just a little bit as to what it is that you want it to be?
Well, it's a safe place where people can go and they can talk about Maura's case without having to worry about some of the trolling and things like that. It was the reason I started it in the first place, was because it seemed everywhere I went there were people just bickering and arguing, throwing personal insults at each other, things like that. And so I wanted to make this a place where, people wouldn't have to deal with that. They could post whatever theory they wanted, whatever their opinion was. There's no wrong opinion. And they wanted to talk about it and flush out different ideas. And that's what I wanted it to be. And it's going well. And like I said, the membership seems to be really nice, tight group, respectful of each other. We all kind of network behind the scenes with each other too. So it's a real team effort. It's a good thing. I'm really proud of it.
Yes, you really should be proud of it. And I think that's where my question really was aimed towards, is the networking, the working together. And you just said that there's no wrong answer. Like, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. It's just the consideration. Excuse me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's the consideration of everybody else's thoughts, feelings, theories, and flushing those out and seeing if something comes together. You might say something, I might say something. There might be 6 points in there that are completely inaccurate, but you might have one and I have one and they match, and that could be something that propels a detail of the case forward.
No, exactly. And that's what it's all about in there, that people can even, I have my own opinions on different theories, but, and there's some theories I think are far one way or far the other. But if people want to talk about them and discuss them in a respectful manner, I have no problem with that. And I think it's a good thing. And we weren't there. We don't know exactly what happened. So anyone could be right, anyone could be wrong. So I think it's all fair. Let everyone discuss what they want. And then they go back and they try to do some researching and see if they can prove or disprove. And you know how it goes. It's an uphill battle with this case. So we just keep trying. You
said a respectful manner. I'm curious what that's defined as to you in that group.
Well, to me, it's just, like I said, people have different theories. And you guys and myself, we've talked about this before. People have, different theories of the people that think Maura committed suicide, the people that think she was murdered, the people that think the police killed her, and we're all in this community together. We all have different theories and opinions. We can talk about all of it, and we don't have to get personal. You don't have to call someone a jerk or an asshole or whatever because they don't agree with you, because that doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything to help find out what happened to Maura, and that's why we're all here. It's for Maura. It's not for our egos or anything like that. This is about her first and foremost. So the more we can work together, and if someone says something and you think they're completely off the mark, you can just say, well, that's interesting, or why do you feel that way? And you learn a little bit from people. And over the last few years that I've had the group up, I've been enlightened by things that people have said and dumbfounded by things that people have said, but it's all interesting, and everyone has a right to feel the way they want to feel. So come in the group, feel free to express it.
That's interesting. You said that over the past couple of years, you've been enlightened by some things that people have said. What stands out to you? Are there a couple of moments where, it just kind of changed the way you were thinking, or directed you in a more appropriate manner to make a conclusion, or, like you said, to enlighten you? Well,
it's just sometimes somebody will say something that maybe you hadn't thought of, a small detail, something like that they'll say, it was just like your most recent episodes with Mike. A lot of what he said was enlightening because it were things that I hadn't thought of before. The positioning of the car and such, we had talked about that a little bit earlier. It's just good to see, because everyone comes from a different place and what they think about different facts about the case. Or I can't think of any specific thing off the top of my head, but it's good when, I have experienced it a bunch of times where you'll read something, either a comment or something that somebody posted. it enlightens you, and that's an important thing, because that's how we learn from each other. So
Good point. And you post a lot of the news in the case in your group on Facebook. Pretty much every new episode, I think you post. You'll post some blog posts or some interesting new thoughts, or some happenings on different social media outlets. Sort of whatever is going on in the case is what you post there, and you get people's idea on it.
yeah, I try to keep an eye on everything, and sometimes there's slow periods where not much is happening. Sometimes it's really active, so I try to keep an eye on it. Always posting you guys as new episodes. Myself or my co-admin do that, so whoever sees it first, and that gets people talking, people chatting about the episodes, and it's just good to keep people talking about Maura and talking about the case. Keep that momentum going as best we can.
Yeah, and what's been the general feeling lately in the group? Anything prevailing lately overall? Any themes?
No, not really. I mean, it's someone had actually made an interesting post about the fast pass thing on your window in your car, that they used to be made by Fleet. Apparently, Fleet Bank used to make them back in 2004, and they were somebody was wondering, did Maura have one of those in her Saturn? So I thought that was fascinating. That, do we even know that, and who would know that? And I mean, there wasn't one on the window in any pictures I've seen, but people could keep them in different parts of their car. They weren't as big actually when they first came out, from what I remember. So that was an interesting tidbit. But no, not really. Most of the talk lately has been on like you guys and the episodes you've been doing. The two you just did with Mike. One I know came out today, but the first one with Mike, a lot of people were talking about that. I was even talking behind the scenes with some people about that episode, and just how cool it was to hear his perspective.
Yeah, actually very interesting that you mentioned the fast lane pass and our conversation with Mike, because we talked about the different routes that it would take to get up there. And 93, once you get into New Hampshire, it's a toll route. I am not sure if 91 is a toll route. Is there tolls once you get into New Hampshire?
No, the only tolls in Massachusetts are on the Mass Pike, and that goes east-west, not north-south. And there are tolls in New Hampshire, but they are all on the eastern side of the state, and that's 95, the Everett Turnpike, Spalding Turnpike, and that's New Hampshire 16. So yeah, all kind of on the eastern side of the state, and none in Vermont.
There's definitely tolls in New Hampshire on 93.
The police likely, I would think, tracked that down to see if she was riding alone, maybe watch that surveillance video. But I would say if they did track that down, they know that she's alone, or they know that she wasn't, or it wasn't her, or it doesn't look enough like her. Maybe it's too shaky to release for some reason.
Or to just definitively say which route she was on at that particular time.
That's what I mean by it was just an interesting thing someone had thrown out there, and makes you go, oh wow, did she have one of those in her car? Maybe she didn't, but I think it's still worth asking the question.
It really is. Again, just for that point alone, is that this was something that was brought up. It might not even have anything to do with anything, but I can't tell you the last time I thought about tolls until you just said that.
Yeah.
So many details, especially when we were talking with Mike, so many details came up, and I was like, I'm so embarrassed that I haven't thought about that in like 3 years. Like, the direction in which her car was facing, we always say these details, like her car was facing the wrong way, facing westbound in the eastbound lane, and we just kind of say it like it's just the fact, and we move on. Or another good example was the when people differ about where the car actually came to a rest and where the dogs lost her scent. People in the early articles have said 100 yards, and we've always just said 100 yards. And then when we visited the site and you go to the tree that has the blue ribbon on it, it's much longer than 100 yards to where the dogs lost their scent from that tree. It's closer to 100 yards if you move it up a little bit. But I've never, you have these thoughts and then these details, and then they just sort of become, I don't want to say arbitrary, but they're just sort of window dressing because you lose sight of things.
No, exactly. And that's when I was listening to those 2 episodes, that kept happening to me. I'm like, oh man, I haven't thought of that in a while, or I never thought of that. and it was really, it was just really, really interesting and really got my brain turning. And that's good. I mean, there's so much in this case, so much deep, I mean, we it's funny. It's like we have nothing, but what we do have is exhausting to look over, with all the theories and the different suspects and the strange people in the area and stuff like that. It's so much, like you say, the window dressing stuff, it kind of falls by the wayside, not on purpose. It's just stuff you don't think about anymore.
I want to say that that we did get an answer back from law enforcement way back in 2016, I think, when we submitted these questions, and they did say that they believed Maura was heading eastbound on Route 112, and they said all evidence collected to date points to Maura as being the driver. Just wanted to point those things out. I think that would determine that they suspected she was on 91 at one point or went up that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say so.
And that answer was provided by the Assistant Attorney General's office. Was that Agati who wrote those answers?
Yes, that was Benjamin J. Agati, Senior Assistant Attorney General. This was, I think, in 2016.
Yeah. They were very, very gracious of them to even consider answering a podcast questions about a open investigation, and that's pretty telling too. I keep saying that's pretty telling, and I hate it when people say that, and I want to punch myself in the face for saying it, but it is interesting when they say all evidence collected to this point, or all evidence collected points to Maura being the driver of the car.
Yeah, all evidence collected to date points to Maura as being the driver. Yep. And they said they believe she was headed eastbound on Route 112. So they admit they don't know for sure, obviously. So that there's kind of a little, you can kind of read between their lines with the words they use there, obviously. All evidence collected means that's all the information they have up until this point. Doesn't mean something couldn't come along and say that Maura wasn't driving, but all evidence collected to date means that she was, Okay, and Robert, you wanted to talk a little bit about the Murray family's call to action. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, I posted it in the group, and I know it's been shared. I think some different members of the community shared it on Twitter. It's been on Reddit, so people may have heard of this, but I just wanted to put it out there again. That so as most people know, the Murrays are trying to get a historical marker placed up by the tree, so they can save the tree from being cut down. From what I understand, the landowner who owns the actual tree wants to cut it down, and the reasons for that I don't know. I didn't get into that, but so Julie and the family are trying to get a historic marker put there, which would prevent anyone from cutting the tree down. So they did the Blue Ribbon Initiative to get the signatures. They got over the 3,000 that they wanted, and they submitted it to the state of New Hampshire. But I guess the best way to help now is to go through the Division of Historical Resources up in New Hampshire. Now, if you go to the Murray's official site, which is www.mauramurraymissing.org, and click on the call to action link, I think it's in the menu there. Tells you some different ways you can help. You can email this government department. You can write letters to it. You can call them just to try to give an extra push to let them know that, we're serious about this, and it's important to the Murrays, so it's important to us to try to get that historical marker and save the tree. I understand that the Speaker of the House of New Hampshire is on board with it as well, and is in favor of having this done. So it's moving forward in the right direction, and we just got to keep our foot on the gas with it, and hopefully we can get this done for the family and save the tree. I think it's forever, if I'm not mistaken.
I apologize if I missed it. The tree is on private property?
Apparently, yes.
And the owners of that property are concerned to the amount of traffic that would end up, I guess, sort of gathering there?
Well, we all know the stories about the locals in the area, and they don't like people going up there, and there's no parking signs and no trespassing signs everywhere, which is their right to do, and I understand that. I can see both sides of it. But from what I was told, they want to cut the tree down, and Julie had even offered to buy the land, and they said no. And then she said she'd do like a 100-year lease on the land, and they said no. So the next step to go to definitively save the tree is to get the historical marker, have the state step in and then it's safe from being cut down. And I'm sure that's not the direction they wanted to go, but push comes to shove, it's the only way. It's the only way.
I might have a rare dissenting opinion on this. I personally don't support the tree remaining there with a marker. I think that area has been exhausted. I think the people there are exhausted, and I think if you were to raise awareness and raise funds and to put something to memorialize Maura, you can find another spot. I think that only brings more negative attention there. Unfortunately, I do apologize for not supporting a cause for the family, but I can't pretend to condone that I support that, because the neighbors there don't want it there. They don't want it. It's not, and it sucks that she got into the accident right there, but there can be another spot. There can be I think, Tim, you had the idea of putting something at Beaver Pond, or you could even put something at UMass. Like that, the area that she crashed will always be there. It doesn't have to be a tree. And I know in the past I've said it's all they have, but I've thought about it. I've thought a lot about it, and it's not all they have to remember Maura. That's all they have to remember a negative moment in Maura's life.
I can see your point on that, and I guess we'll agree to disagree on that. I think if it's important to them to have the tree there, and they go there and they pray or do whatever they do, then who am I to say that that's not a good idea? But I do understand your take as well, so we'll agree to disagree on that one. I still love you though, Lance.
Well, I think you're a moron for disagreeing.
Well, debate is a wonderful thing. And what do you know what the marker is? There's the historical marker. Is there supposed to be something brought in other than just keeping the tree there?
I don't know if it's something like a plaque sort of thing, maybe on a pillar or something. I don't know exactly the design of it. Don't take me at my word for that. But it would just be something that it says something about that Maura had crashed there, and it's the last place she was seen, something like that. I don't know the wording though. I don't even know if they've gotten that far.
Okay, so it wants to be like a historical landmark, as in this is the spot where this happened in the state of New Hampshire.
From what I understand, yes.
Oh, okay. I understand it a lot more now after talking it out. Sorry about that. The traffic would be make it a little bit challenging, I would say, because the goal of a historical landmark is to visit it, right?
I would think so.
And that doesn't mean there's not solutions there if they're going to do that for parking, because I think that's one of the major complaints of the locals up there. And some of them we've met and are lovely. And some of them, we've had limited opportunities to meet. So yeah, I can see both sides of this too, but yeah, I envisioned like a statue of Maura at Beaver Pond Lake, because I thought that would be a nice place. There's plenty of parking up there, and you could get a statue of her running, in her UMass or even I don't know, high school jersey or whatever.
Whitman Hanson, yeah. No, that'd be great too.
I think that's something that people would really donate for too, and I have no idea how much it costs to put something like that or create something like that. Probably like $100,000. I have no idea, but
you'd have to find an artist that does that, and I don't like you said. I don't know either how much something like that would cost. I'm sure it's not cheap.
Right. So don't let me get over my head with this idea, Lance.
Well, I think something simple like a plaque on a stone or something at Beaver Pond, but. Again, I just keep going back to, maybe Jigger Johnson. One of the places that there are good memories. There's a lot of evidence that she had very positive moments, very good memories up there in the White Mountains. Maybe one of the trails that her and her dad hiked. I'm still a big supporter of coming up, like starting some sort of fund that would maintain trails up there in Maura's name. People go there once or twice a year, and they maintain some of the trails, and money's raised for the case or raised to maintain a trail, because I've never met Maura, but I feel like that would be something that someone who's an avid hiker, a runner, an outdoorsy type person would appreciate. There's so much like positive things that can go into something so tragic.
Right. No, I agree with that. And I've that's some of the things I've been tossing around myself more recently is because I talk to a lot of people in the community, and they're always asking me what more can we do? Is there any more we can do? And I keep racking my brain trying to think of something just like you said, maintaining the trails. That's a great idea. And it's something I think that Maura would have appreciated. So, I think, I don't know, maybe we can come up with something because people really want to be active and they want to try to do something. I know you guys have talked about like the 5K race idea, the statue, I think they're all good ideas. So like you said, let's bring something positive from such a negative situation.
Yeah. And I think the Murray family obviously needs to be heard too. And I think it's really significant that they do want that spot, so I agree. It's, I do feel the need to support them in wanting that. I desire something. I don't know what, though. I don't know that that's the best answer either. I can see the reasons why not. So then the call to action here they put on their website is to call New Hampshire Historical Resources and their staff.
Email the director of the division and or call the office or write a letter to them expressing your support. I think it doesn't matter if you're a resident of New Hampshire; it could be from anyone. So it's just one more way people can help and be supportive of what the Murrays are trying to do.
There has to be some way to safely memorialize her. They're probably not going to build a parking garage there for, and the Westmans are probably not going to donate their parking lot there. So those two things are probably out. So as far as it being a tourist spot, that definitely puts the state of New Hampshire in a tough position.
Right. No, I understand that. So it'd be a tough decision for them to make either way.
How often have you made a trip up there?
I haven't. I still have not been up there.
I'm surprised.
Let's go.
I'm surprised.
Let's go sometime. A little road trip.
There's nowhere to park, so why would I go up there? But no, I'm still. I know the last time I was on with you guys, I said I hadn't gone, and I'm always planning to go, and I am still planning to get up there at some point. I'm not trying to make excuses or anything, and I even get shit from people. They're like, "You've never been to the crash site." Okay, it's people have actually given me shit about it.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's not a whole lot that you can get there in person that you wouldn't be getting doing a Google Earth experience. It's right now on Google Earth, you can go there and people have taken pictures of that turn. There's probably half a dozen little dots there, and you can see pictures that are, span a few months from, they're pretty recent.
No, I know, but I've always felt that I kind of owe it to her to go more than myself. So I will get up there. Like you said, it's not going anywhere. So I'll go with you guys. We'll pick up Brenner. We'll carpool.
So, Robert, tell us about your relationship with Curtis. Do you chat with Curtis Murray a little bit?
Yeah, I talk with Curtis a little bit here and there. It's not like a weekly thing or anything like that, but him and I talk with a good frequency, I would say. I consider him a friend. He's a great person. He's a good guy and very, very nice guy. And I enjoy talking with him. And we don't just talk about the case and stuff. We talk about other stuff, football, stuff like that, our jobs, things like that. He's a hardworking dude. I give him that. Every time I reach out to him, he's working. So, and then I feel bad. But yeah, he's a good guy. One of the best. So.
When did you start to talk to him on a more regular basis? And how did you even, breach that relationship?
Well, I had reached out to him. Wasn't too long after the first episode I did with you guys. So would have been a year and a half ago, something like that. And I just said, he had commented on the episode. He had said, "Thank you for doing it. I thought what you said was great." And we just started texting back and forth. And then it was, I said, you want to talk on the phone sometime? So we would talk. And then every time, like when they were talking about the different testing and different things they were going to try to do, DNA testing, stuff like that, which all got stopped because of the COVID. I reached out to him then, how are things progressing, stuff like that. And then we just started talking more frequent. And like I said, it got more on a friendly level, more than just, here's Rob Lynch asking about my sister's case, so. We talk a little bit. I reached out to him the other day was his birthday. So I reached out to him and said, "Hey, happy birthday. I'm sure you're at work or whatever." And he said, "No, I got the day off." So that was nice to hear that you got to enjoy some time. But yeah, no, it's great, and he's a very humble guy. You guys have met him, and he's always thanking me for everything I'm trying to do, and which I keep telling him, you don't have to thank me. You already have, but he's a class act. Good kid.
He is, yeah. We've met him, and yeah, we get the same feelings there. Great guy for sure.
I'm curious about what your family thinks about this, because I'm sure you share it with your family that you are part of this group, and you founded this group, and the mystery of Maura's disappearance. Do you talk to them about it, or is this something that you just sort of keep in your underground lair?
Well, my girlfriend Trish tries to get me out of the underground layer as much as she can, but she knows I'm committed to this. I think sometimes she thinks I'm crazy, but she knows my heart's in the right place. I'm trying to do the right thing. I think she gets worried that it's going to consume me sometimes, and I've had to take breaks periodically just to put the case down and get away from it, because it can be a little obsessive, as you guys know, and a lot of us know. But no, she understands it. My daughter's 13, and she thinks it's a great thing, and thinks the world of me trying to help. And my stepdaughter's 18, and I think she doesn't say it, but I think she thinks it's like cool to try to help out. But they're always like, do you ever think you'll find answers? And I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to stop trying. But I think they get it. And I have my brother is in law enforcement, so I talk to him about it sometimes, and he's interesting to bounce things off of, because he's got the law enforcement perspective. So, but they all get it. I think they all respect it. But it's my little thing, it's not, they don't really get involved.
And what does your brother-in-law have to say, coming from the law enforcement perspective?
No, it's my brother.
Oh, sorry.
It's funny. He actually rented a house with his family, and it was like 3 miles from the crash site. And he told me after, like when he came home. I'm like, what? Why didn't you tell me? You were right there. No, it's just a tree with a blue ribbon on it. What's the big deal? And he's like, I've driven by it before. And I'm like, what? You have, but I haven't? But he just said that, I think his theory, and he doesn't know all the details of the case, but he seems to prescribe with what Mr. Murray says, that some local dirtbag picked her up and killed her. He said she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I know more about it than you, and I think there could be something else. And he's like, well, you look all you want, but he goes, that's probably exactly what happened to her.
Is he just speaking out of experience and things that he's heard from other cases?
I believe so, yeah. He's pretty cut and dry for the most part, his personality. So he's just like, no, someone picked her up, and he said it was probably one person, because no one else has ever said anything, and they killed her, and where they put her, who knows.
I'm curious about that relationship that you have with him. Does he ever tell you to back off of a cold case? Has he ever expressed concern that you might be, digging a little too deep or anything?
No, I mean, he gives me little advice. Like I wrote a letter to the Attorney General's office up in New Hampshire a long time ago, and he tells me things like, that's not going to do anything. They probably won't even open your letter. He's like, they're not going to give you any information. They're not going to tell you anything. The police aren't obligated to tell you anything. He said they're holding back a lot of what they have because it's an active investigation. And he goes, they may well know who killed her, but they don't have the evidence to prosecute. He was surprised, though, that the liquor store footage was never released. They released the ATM footage, but not the liquor store footage. Because he said, usually if they give you one of those, they give you the other, unless there's something on it. So I found that interesting when he said that. I said, oh, I never thought of that. I said, what, like someone following her or something? This could be anything. But him having the law enforcement background, he kind of looks at it in a different way. He doesn't get emotionally involved in it. But he's never told me to back off. He just, he says, don't let it drive you crazy. There's paid people that get paid to do it that are working on it. So
yeah, who haven't been able to solve it too. So don't feel bad. Don't be too hard on yourself. Because there's a reason it hasn't been solved.
Oh yeah.
And Robert, what do you think about the latest social media? I guess dust up. I don't know what you want to call it.
Like what are you referring to specifically?
I turn to you for, as Lance mentioned earlier, I turn to you for the positive outlook on any of this. So I'm not really speaking specifically.
Are you talking about like activity on Reddit and Twitter and such?
Sure.
Well, I have a weird relationship with Reddit. I don't typically comment. I'm kind of just in there lurking around reading different posts and stuff, and it seems to be a lot of troll activity in Reddit. I think it's always been that way, and that's unfortunate. There's some good people in there with some great comments and things, but I don't typically look for anything of substance in there where you can go other places. Twitter isn't bad. I mean, sometimes you see some stuff, but MZ Gags is on there. She's pretty positive. Jamie Cook has some nice posts that he puts out. I've even read some of John Smith's posts that are pretty good, and it doesn't seem to get to the vile level that you see in other places. And Facebook is pretty good too. I mean, I concentrate mainly on my group in Facebook, but I do check out the official one and some of the other ones as well. And some of them get pretty quiet sometimes, and when there's not much going on. And I know that the world is turned upside down right now, and everyone's struggling, and they got different things going on with their jobs, and kids not in school and such like that. So I understand it, but I think like the whole trolling in the whole community is it's slowed down a little, which is nice. It's a nice change.
And why is it, do you think, that the dust has sort of settled there?
I don't really know. I mean, the whole trolling and the negativity you see sometimes, it's always there, and it's like waves. It comes and it goes, and when you think okay, well maybe it's subsided, it usually comes back, and sometimes it's more forceful than other times. I don't know why it stopped now, but I'm glad it kind of has. I think if everyone just gave everyone a little more charity, and just weren't so. I mean, I understand that being passionate about the case, because I'm passionate about it myself, but I've never felt that I need to tear other people down to show how passionate I am, and then that's a lot of what happens, and it's unfortunate.